Okay.
We move on now, and according to that same Pentagon report, 48% of those surveyed in the Army oppose serving with gays, and in the Marine Corps, it's higher, with 58% opposing. Retired U.S. Marine Sergeant Brian Fricke is an Iraq War veteran and a member of the board of directors for the Service Members Legal Defense Network, and Tony Perkins is the president of the Family Research Council and a veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps. Gentlemen, I want to thank both of you for coming on today. Brian, I want to start with you. You served in Iraq, you returned home, and then you left the service, I believe, in 2005. Explain to all of us why you did that.
Well, thank you for having me on, first of all. My flight back to the States was a very exciting moment. My unit came in. We were excited to be back home on the tarmac. I looked out. I did see all the welcome home banners, the American flags, welcome home Marines. And my partner couldn't be there on the tarmac with me, and that was really the primary moment of isolation. I felt different than the rest of my Marines. Those who I had beneath me and those above me, I didn't feel a part of the unit at that point. I really felt different, and that was when I chose to not re-enlist. I decided this was not the way that we should be treated. We should all be treated the same, welcomed home the same. I did the exact same job that my fellow Marines had done, and that's when I chose not to re-enlist.
Were you honest and open with your brothers in arms? Did they know you were gay?
There was a select few. Yes, I did not come out to my upper chain of command. I knew the rules. There's actually a book out called Playing by the Rules, and that's exactly what it's about. We have to this extra burden to hide who we are. We cannot fully integrate with the unit. It's not about us coming out and being able to just be open. It's about not being afraid to lose our jobs, to lose our careers. I knew I would not have that peace of mind. I couldn't just dedicate myself to the job and not have to worry about it. It was a looming fear, actually, more so than anybody else had to deal with.
Tony, you are also a veteran of the Marine Corps, and I want to go ahead and show you what Senator John McCain had to say about this issue back in 2006. Take a listen.
The day that the leadership of the military comes to me and says, Senator, we ought to change the policy, then I think we ought to consider seriously changing it, because those leaders in the military are the ones we give the responsibility to.
So, Tony, explain to all of us why we shouldn't listen to Secretary Gates or Admiral Mullen, both of whom got their jobs under President Bush, when they say that ending this policy will not hurt the military.
Well, both of those are political leadership of the military. When you look at the operational chiefs, the chairman, Mullins is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, but when you look at the branch, the operational branch leaders, who was mentioned earlier in the previous segment, that they all have expressed opposition to overturning this policy. And so I think that's what Senator McCain, who I've talked to a number of times about this, was talking about, the operational leadership of the military, who has direct control over those troops. And let me just say this. I want to thank Brian for his service in the Marine Corps as a fellow Marine. But this is not about individuals. I think he would acknowledge that when we talk about national security, it's about our military and what is best for the military. And here we are in a lame duck session of Congress, and we're taking a policy that is going to change a long-standing policy in our military and overturn it. And the implications of this are very serious, and the implications for national security are very serious.
It's about modernization of the force, though. That's exactly what it's about, and that's what these commandants should be taking into consideration. They have to balance the status quo and the long-standing heritage and history, the illustrious history of our Corps, along with modernization. So it's an extra burden, and they should not be speaking out of line with the President, the Commander-in-Chief. They should be fully focused on implementation. They should be leaders in this. And I know that the Marine Corps is, we are professional warfighters. It's about the orders we receive and about how well we execute those orders. The troops are ready for repeal.
Brian, that's a good point. If we were not an all-volunteer force, when you look at the question that was missing in this survey was, should this policy be overturned? And so we did our own scientific poll of over 10,000 members of our military, and as has been pointed out, among the Marines it's been much higher in opposition. In fact, 68% of Marines said they were opposed to overturning this policy, and as many as 30% of the spouses in all branches of the service said they would recommend to their husbands not to re-enlist. How can we possibly sustain sustain our position as a national, world leader in terms of security if we're having 30% of our force leave
but
because
Tony, don't you
of this
think that
policy.
people wouldn't want to re-enlist because we're currently in 2 wars and we don't have a good policy in place that's letting people come home from these wars and have enough time with their families? I think spouses are saying, don't re-enlist because we're in 2 wars right now and I never see ya.
Well, no, that's a good point. I think our military is extremely stressed right now after 10 years of war in Afghanistan. But this 30% was in response to the military survey about the impact that this policy would have.
When you were in the Marine Corps, you don't think you served with gays?
Oh, I have no question that I probably did. I did not.
And how
know.
are they a threat to national security?
Well, it's not an issue of whether or not gays. The current policy of don't ask,
But you said
don't tell
earlier it's an
allows.
issue of national security. So how is it an issue of national security?
Well, it is an issue of national security if you have 30% of your force that's going to leave, and Secretary Gates has said you can vote with your feet. I'm sorry, it was Admiral Mullen said you can vote with your feet if you don't like the overturning of this policy. And if 30% of the force leaves, that obviously is a national security issue.
But do you think that
the same argument was when we had desegregation, and that was the same arguments they were saying
totally
that they
different
would walk
issue.
away. Totally different issue. You're right.
Brian,
same red herring. Same
Brian,
red herring.
from
issue.
your point of view, though, why do you think, as Tony said, and as we've said, 58% of Marines oppose serving with gays? This is higher than any other branch of the military, even if only by this certain percentage. Why do you think that the Marines are coming in with this 58% saying, you know what, I don't really like this?
I think you have 2 reasons. You've got the data, right? You have more Marines. There's a strong correlation between the percentage of Marines who support gays and actually have knowingly served with gays, and those who don't know that they've served with gay Marines. There's more support when they actually know and they have misconceptions torn down about what it means to be gay, that you're not less competent, that you're not less gung-ho, less a Marine, that you're predatory in nature. And there's also leadership. You have the past commandants out publicly saying that they are opposed to the repeal.
You have the current
and of course that's going to
commandant.
influence.
You have the current commandant saying, and it's not an issue of whether or not they want to serve with gays. That's not what the opposition is. The opposition is to open homosexuality in the military. That's why the current
heterosexuality in the military has no place.
Well, you're absolutely right.
It is not
because
about
under current law, that's a good point, Brian. Under current law, you can be discharged for committing adultery because there are boundaries in sexual activity in the military.
Do you think there are witch hunts? Do you think there are witch hunts for that to that effect?
No, you're right. I served with those who were brought up on charges for committing adultery, and also there are certain boundaries in who you can have relationships with in the military. And the concern by many military leaders,
specifically,
listen, Brian, let me finish my statement. The concern about many military leaders is that if this policy is overturned, that those same prohibitions against certain sexual conducts will be removed, which break down, which will break down the morale and the discipline.
This does not change
the military is based on
military justice at all. It does not change the UCMJ.
Hey guys, the military is based on a principle of discipline, and I think you both can agree with that, and they follow the rules as they should, and this is something that they're going to continue to evaluate. And I know that certain other countries like Australia, Ireland, Israel, Great Britain, and Canada, they've shown that open service to have no adverse effect on enrollment or even retention. But we're going to have to leave it there. Tony Perkins and Brian Fricke, I want to thank both of you for coming on, and we'll invite you guys back when we have more time to continue talking about this topic. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.